What if one simple morning drink could act like exercise in a cup for your arteries? Imagine sipping something that gently widens your blood vessels, helps your blood pressure cooperate, and gradually teaches your arteries to become more youthful and flexible. No, it's not a miracle, and it's not a substitute for lifestyle. It's physiology. In today's video, I'm going to show you how a specific blend centered around high-flavanol cacao may support nitric oxide, reduce arterial stiffness, and complement the body's own reverse cholesterol transport. We'll unpack root causes, not just the lab numbers. We'll talk strategy, not quick fixes. And in the middle, I'll share two real-world stories that might sound uncomfortably familiar, and how small changes led to measurable improvements. The real root problem: when your arteries lose their voice. Your arteries aren't garden hoses. They're living, responsive tissues lined by a single layer of cells called the endothelium. Think of that endothelial lining as your artery's voice. It signals dilation, calming inflammation, and preventing sticky clots. When the endothelium is injured by chronic high glucose exposure, oxidative stress, smoking, sedentary lifestyle, sleep apnea, or even sustained hypertension, a cascade begins. Inflammation switches on. Nitric oxide, no production falls. Vessel tone stiffens. Blood pressure trends up. Pro-clotting signals rise. Platelets behave more sticky. Over time, the artery wall thickens, elasticity declines, and plaque, a composite of cholesterol, calcium, and proteins, accumulates as part of a repair response. Here's the nuance. Plaque isn't evil, it's misdirected repair. But when that repair narrows the flow channel or destabilizes, heart attacks and strokes loom. Around 90% of heart attacks involve an acute thrombus, clot, on a vulnerable plaque. Nitric oxide, the silent guardian of vascular health. Nitric oxide is a short-lived gas your endothelium produces to signal vasodilation. When NO is robust, arteries relax, blood pressure moderates, and clot risk drops. Everyday ways to support NO: sunlight. UVB helps vitamin D synthesis. Near-infrared may directly promote NO bioavailability. Nasal breathing. Your paranasal sinuses generate NO. Nose breathing during rest and exercise can deliver it into the lungs and circulation. Magnesium, a key cofactor for endothelial enzymes. It also relaxes vascular smooth muscle. Polyphenols, plant compounds that upregulate endothelial nitric oxide synthase, ENOS, and counter oxidative stress. Nitrate-rich foods. Beets, arugula, spinach can be reduced to nitrite by oral bacteria and then converted to NO, provided you're not constantly nuking those bacteria with antiseptic mouthwash. Don't be distracted by the aftershocks. Cholesterol versus context. The body manufactures most of its cholesterol because it's indispensable for hormone synthesis, membranes, bile acids. The problem isn't cholesterol per se. It's the metabolic environment shaping how cholesterol traffics. Reverse cholesterol transport, RCT, matters. HDL participates in ferrying cholesterol from peripheral tissues back to the liver. Supporting RCT includes exercise, aerobic plus resistance, time-restricted eating and occasional fasting windows, as clinically appropriate, lower glycemic, lower refined carb patterns, adequate niacin, vitamin B3, in some contexts, though dosing must be individualized to avoid flushing, liver strain, or glucose effects. Sugar, insulin, and the slow burn on arteries. Many people maintain normal fasting glucose for years while consuming massive amounts of refined carbohydrate. The trick? Compensatory hyperinsulinemia. Insulin acts as the emergency crew, hustling excess glucose out of the bloodstream. But that adaptation has a shelf life. Years of high insulin can worsen endothelial function, raise blood pressure via renal sodium retention and sympathetic tone, and promote hepatic lipogenesis, turning sugar into fat, elevating triglycerides, and fueling fatty liver. When the pancreas can't keep compensating, glucose rises. Prediabetes and diabetes emerge. By then, the endothelium has been under assault for a long time. Clinically, I've seen low-refined carb diets shrink liver fat quickly. Studies often show double-digit percentage reductions in intrahepatic fat within weeks. Less hepatic fat means better lipid handling and often better HDL and triglycerides. The exercise in a cup concept, cacao with high flavanols. Not all cocoa products are equal. The minimally processed high-flavanol cacao powders, usually from raw or lightly processed beans and labeled for flavanol content, are rich in epicatechin and related polyphenols. These compounds upregulate eNOS, supporting endogenous NO production, improve flow-mediated dilation, a standard gauge of endothelial function, reduce arterial stiffness over time, which can lower systolic blood pressure and pulsatile load on the heart, offer brain, skin, and microvascular benefits via improved perfusion and antioxidant effects. Why it feels like exercise in a cup. Some trials have found improvements in vascular dilation comparable to moderate exercise sessions. Of course, cacao doesn't replace exercise. Nothing replaces the muscular, metabolic, mitochondrial, and bone benefits of moving your body. But for your endothelium, cacao appears to coach the same NO pathway. Building the morning artery. Tonic, my clinical approach. The core, high-flavanol cacao powder. Verify flavanol content on label. Organic preferred when feasible to reduce contaminant risk. Start with 1 to 2 teaspoons. Titrate to taste and tolerance. The amplifier, beetroot powder. Beets provide dietary nitrate, feeding the nitrate-nitrite NO pathway, especially useful if your endogenous NO production is lagging. Temperature tip. Mix in warm, not boiling, water. Excessive heat can degrade heat-sensitive polyphenols in minimally processed cacao. Warm water dissolves better than cold. Room temperature also works. Timing relative to coffee. For vascular benefits, separate by about 2 hours from caffeinated coffee because caffeine can transiently vasoconstrict. If cognitive focus is your goal and vascular dilation is secondary, combining with coffee is acceptable, but you may blunt some NO-mediated effects. Add-ons I often consider: magnesium glycinate, gentle on the gut, supports vascular relaxation and glucose metabolism. Pinch of mineral-rich sea salt for taste and trace minerals, if blood pressure is well controlled and your clinician agrees. Cinnamon for glycemic control and flavor. Mouthwash caveat: if you rely on dietary nitrate, beets, arugula, avoid frequent antiseptic mouthwashes that wipe out oral bacteria critical for nitrate reduction. Other pillars that make this work better. Sunlight exposure. Morning sun for circadian entrainment and vitamin D synthesis. Nasal breathing practice. During walks, training, and sleep, consider nasal strips if congested. Strength plus cardio. Resistance training improves insulin sensitivity and HDL function. Moderate cardio enhances endothelial function and shear stress signaling. Carbohydrate quality. Emphasize fibrous vegetables, legumes, as tolerated, nuts, seeds, low glycemic fruits. Limit refined flours, sugars, and ultra-processed snacks. Polyphenol diversity. Berries, olive oil, green tea, pomegranate, herbs, spices, rosemary, turmeric, to synergize endothelial protection. Vitamin K2, MK7, or MK4. Helps direct calcium into bones and away from arterial walls. Discuss dosing with your clinician, especially if you're on anticoagulants. Bile support. If you've had gallbladder removal or bile issues, Discuss bile acid support with your clinician to assist cholesterol elimination through the gut. 2 stories from the clinic. Maria, 58. Normal labs, not so normal arteries. Profile: office manager, borderline high blood pressure, normal LDL, low HDL, high triglycerides, waist gain, nightly sweet tea. Complaints: afternoon fatigue, occasional chest tightness during stress. Strategy: we built a morning cacao plus beet tonic, shifted lunch toward protein plus vegetables plus healthy fats, added 30 minutes of brisk walking with nasal breathing, magnesium glycinate at night, and 16. 8 time-restricted eating 5 days/week. 12-week results. Systolic BP dropped approximately 8-10 mmHg. Triglycerides down 30%. HDL up modestly. Improved flow-mediated dilation on follow-up testing. And she reported her hands felt warmer, often a microcirculatory sign. She kept the habit because it reduced afternoon cravings. Devon, 43, athletic but inflamed profile. Weekend cyclist, high-stress tech job, lots of coffee, antiseptic mouthwash twice daily, sleeps 5.5 hours, night. Complaints: headaches after intense rides, elevated morning BP spikes, high normal fasting glucose. Strategy: separated coffee and cacao by 2-3 hours. Replaced antiseptic mouthwash with basic floss plus gentle toothpaste. Added beet salad and arugula 4x/week. Short sunlight breaks at noon. Breath work between meetings. And 2 resistance sessions weekly. 10-week results. Morning BP stabilized. Fewer exertional headaches, lower resting heart rate, and improved sleep continuity. He called the cacao routine my off-switch button for stress-driven constriction. How to start this weekday. 1-3. 1 TSP high-flavanol cacao in warm water mid-morning. Optional 1 TSP beetroot powder. Keep coffee 2 hours away. Track how you feel. Day 4. 7. Increase cacao to 2 TSP if tolerated. Add 10-15 minutes of sunlight exposure daily and 2 brisk walks using nasal breathing. Week 2. Introduce a 12-14 hour overnight fast. Reduce refined carbs at dinner. Consider magnesium glycinate. Consult your clinician. Week 3-4. Add 2 resistance workouts. Include K2-rich foods, natto, certain cheeses, or discuss supplementation. Keep the cacao beet routine 5-6 days per week. Safety, interactions, and practical notes. Caffeine sensitivity. Cacao contains theobromine and small amounts of caffeine. Most tolerate it well. If you're sensitive, start low. Kidney stones. High oxalate foods, including cacao and beets, may be a concern for calcium oxalate stone formers. Ensure adequate hydration, calcium with meals, and discuss with your clinician. Anticoagulants, antiplatelets, polyphenols, vitamin K2, and nitrate strategies should be reviewed with your prescribing physician to avoid interactions or INR fluctuations. Diabetes and meds. If you improve insulin sensitivity and reduce carbs, medications may require adjustment. Monitor closely. Quality matters. Choose products tested for heavy metals and labeled for flavanol content. Organic when possible. What success looks like over time short-term, 2-4 weeks. Many people report warmer hands/feet, improved exercise tolerance, reduced afternoon slumps, and modest BP improvements. Medium-term, 6-12 weeks. Better triglycerides, HDL trends, reduced resting blood pressure, and improved flow-mediated dilation. Long-term, 3-12 months. Potential reductions in arterial stiffness indices, improved VO2 capacity with training, and more resilient blood pressure responses to stress. The take-home formula support endothelial health, sunlight, nasal breathing, sleep, movement, and polyphenols. Rebuild No high-flavanol cacao to stimulate ENOS plus nitrate-rich foods, beets, arugula. Tame the sugar insulin loop. Lower refined carbs, time-restricted eating, resistance training. Direct calcium where it belongs. Vitamin K2 in consultation with your clinician. Mind your bile and liver. Whole food fats, fiber, and, when indicated, medical guidance on bile support. Concise how-to recipe. Artery-friendly morning drink. 1-2 TSP high-flavanol cacao powder, organic preferred. 1 TSP beetroot powder, 200-250 milliliters, warm water, not boiling. Optional, pinch sea salt. 100-200 milligrams magnesium glycinate, stir well. Drink 2 hours apart from caffeinated coffee for vascular benefits. Final reflection. Your arteries can learn. The endothelium is adaptable. Feed it the right signals. Steady nitric oxide production, lower glycemic stress, and consistent movement, and it will respond. Think of this drink not as a shortcut, but as a daily nudge in the right direction. Over weeks, those nudges accumulate into measurable change. Call to action. If you try the cacao plus beet protocol for 14 days, track your blood pressure, energy, and exercise tolerance. Share your observations and discuss changes with your clinician. If you want a follow-up video, I'll break down labels and show you how to choose a trustworthy cacao product, and how to pair this with an artery-friendly breakfast for even better results.